Hey, what's up, guys? SullyCortez. Thanks for joining me again. This is a little different from the videos that I've put out recently. I wanted to take the time and sit down, relax in my room, and actually just talk to you guys. So if you notice on my channel, I posted a couple videos in regards to some reviews that I'm doing. And I don't want this channel to only be about gear reviews, and I'm going to come out with a lot of content in playlist form. So what I'm going to do is create several videos that I can combine into several different playlists. That way you guys, when you come to my channel, you can actually get the content that you want faster, and it'll be a little bit more organized. This particular video has to do with something that's been going on the past couple days since NAB. And since everybody's been getting back from NAB, if you guys don't know what NAB is, it's one of the biggest, it stands for National Association of Broadcasters, first of all. And every year they have a convention in Las Vegas where they go out and all these companies, all these people come, and it's basically a trade show where they showcase all the best technology for broadcasters, whether that be camera, audio, lighting, etc., drones. They got it all. So ever since then, people were kind of expecting Panasonic to talk about the new GH5. Everyone was really anticipating there being something about the GH5. Unfortunately, well, fortunately and unfortunately, Panasonic decided not to say anything about the GH5. We'll get into that in a minute, but basically they talked about their VariCam LT and a whole bunch of other stuff that was not really consumer related, primarily prosumer and professional related, which it's NAB. So yeah, that's, if you're gonna do it anywhere, that's the place to, go all out in terms of your high end. However, the low end, there wasn't, from what I heard, I really wanted to go. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go. But from what I heard, there was a lot of hope lost, I guess you could say, because it's now been coming up on 2 years since the release of the GH4. And if we take a look at Panasonic's track record for releasing cameras in this particular line or similar lines, the G7 and other cameras like it, it is just about time for the GH5 to come out, or at least that we should start be hearing some news about it, get anything, but we actually haven't heard anything about it. Well, the whole reason why I brought up NAB was because people who went there, they got back, they started editing their videos, they started uploading their videos, getting all their content, and we've started to see this giant flux of content from NAB, especially the Panasonic booth, in regards to the GH5. Now, everybody knows who Matt Frasier is, and I hope I said his name right. And if you don't know who he is, he's the Panasonic rep that is kind of in the spotlight. He's always at the bigger Panasonic events, and he's usually the one that people want to talk to, the person that people want to get the information from. He does, videos online. I'm not sure exactly what his actual business title is, but he's kind of the face of the Panasonic consumer camera market. So several of the videos that people have posted, he has said that, quote, and I quote, I got it in front of me here. He has said that, quote, Panasonic has told me nothing because they know that I would tell it to all of you guys. So right there, he's basically claiming that he doesn't know anything about the GH5. Now, sure, that's one video out of a couple thousand, I'm sure. He could just be talking off the cuff, and that, may or may not be true. He might know something, he might not know something. He might want to share it, he might not want to share it. And, That's fine. That's what business people do, especially when a new product is kind of under wraps and nobody wants to talk about it. So that's fine. However, on 4thirdsrumors.com, there was a recent post from yesterday, I believe, that talked about, well, it had Matt and some other guy, I can't remember his name. I will have a link in the description to that particular video and that page where I got the information from. It basically talked about, well, it was an interview of this guy and Matt Frasier, and he was saying that he believed that Panasonic would not be moving towards full frame. Not only that, they would not even be moving towards APS-C or APS-P or APS whatever. Super 35. He basically said that they're sticking with Micro Four Thirds, which the limitations of Micro Four Thirds, I'm sure we all know. I don't need to explain it to you guys. Anyone that's watching this video, you kind of already know what the limitations to Micro Four Thirds are, especially when you're talking about, you know, the megapixel count. Usually, well, from the information that I know, potentially right now, 24 megapixels is probably going to be the maximum that you could go in terms of pixel density on a Micro Four Thirds sensor. Now, that's why bigger megapixel cameras have recently been coming out as full frame, because you need that size in order to get that bigger pixel density. And, you know, there's a whole slew of reasons why full frame is full frame. There's a whole slew of reasons why, when over 100 years ago, people were coming up with film, they chose the 35 millimeter size. There's a reason for it. If you don't know, go look it up. Educate yourself. Because I've heard a lot of people, especially in that video when he said, you know, Panasonic is not looking to implement a Super 35 sensor or a full frame sensor in the GH5. Now, again, he could have just been speaking off the cuff, just like in the previous video where he said he didn't know anything about the GH5. That's fine. But whatever the truth is, the fact of the matter remains that, again, 35 millimeter film was created at the size it was created for a reason. Okay? It wasn't created at Micro Four Thirds size. It wasn't created at 2/3 inch. It wasn't created at technically, it wasn't created at APS-C, but then was adopted into Super 35, which is, if you know anything about film and sensor sizes, is smaller than full frame. But that being said, there's so many advantages to Super 35 or full frame. So I don't understand why you would not want to implement Super 35 or full frame in your lineup. At least have a separate line of cameras for those that do want Super 35 or full frame in your format. That's the thing. They could just say, yeah, go get a Sony, or go get a Nikon, or go get a Canon, or go get a whatever. Anything other than the company that you want to be with. Let's say somebody likes Panasonic. They like the body. They like the way they make their products. They like their business model. They like everything about it, and they want to stay in that family. But they can't, because of the simple fact that they don't have the offerings that you're looking for. It's the same problem we had with Sony when Sony didn't have lenses. Everybody and their mother was complaining, oh, Sony doesn't have professional lenses. That way you have to get lenses from Canon or Nikon, and you have to adapt them to your Sony bodies. And that's not an issue anymore. Sony's coming out with professional lenses because they understand and they realize, okay, you know what? If we want to be at the top of our game, we need to be at the top of our game. And that means competing with everybody else out there, even though, yeah, it's not a competition, whatever. Every business is their own business. It is a competition when you want to stay in business. That's the thing. That's what everybody is forgetting when they say, oh, we don't want full frame in the GH5. Well, no one cares about Super 35 in the GH5. The GH4 was so big, everybody loved it for various reasons. And if you could get a Super 35 or a full frame sensor in the GH5 style body, which let's face it, if it was something like the GH4 and it had Super 35 or full frame, everybody's jaw would be dropping right now, and we'd be oogling over, oh, we got to get the GH5 because that is going to be a really good camera. It's the same thing when the GH4 was announced. We all said, now that is going to be a really good camera. We could do the same thing with the GH5 if they implemented Super 35 and full frame for those who really wanted it. Maybe they could do a variable sensor. Now that would be amazing. A lot of people are coming out with variable cameras, including a new company called Craft. They're coming out with a variable modular body camera, which is great. You don't want the components, you don't need them. You don't have to buy them. You can buy the components that you need, and the ones that you don't, you simply don't get them. How great is that? In fact, I believe you can swap the sensor with Craft Camera. Now, they don't really have a reputation, but it's looking promising. It's looking really promising. And a lot of other companies are starting to do that. Red is starting to do that. They're starting to make their cameras a lot more modular. Canon is actually starting to do that. They just came out with their new Super 35 boxy camera. I forget the name. Some weird number stream. So, you know, I think those that are saying you don't need full frame, you don't need Super 35, I really think you guys should reconsider. I really think you should try and educate yourself as to why it would be so much better to have Super 35 or full frame in a small compact body like the GH4 with the Panasonic and Lumix implementations.